Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. Now, Stallone's got a new movie out. Oh yes, Stallone, the awesomeness of this Stallone. The guy will be cranking movies out, muscle-bound, action-packed movies when he's in his 90s. There's no stopping the guy. Samaritan came out on Amazon Prime about a week ago, give or take. And I've seen it a couple of times. And I'm going to report on it quite well. There's going to be spoilers. So if you haven't seen the film yet, do yourself a favour, go and watch the film. It's on Amazon Prime. Go watch it and then come back to the video. We're not going to go massively in depth on it because it's not that massively in depth. The movie, kind of shallow really, but it's just an action movie for God's sake. But this film, I wasn't aware of it even being in existence until about 2 or 3 months ago. And then I kind of forgot about it. I was looking forward to it, kind of forgot about it. And then someone said, oh, by the way, that's the Stallone movie you were banging on about. It's out. I watched it last night. And I was like, what? It's out? Yeah, but where? What? Where? So obviously I rectified that forthwith and watched it twice. I don't recommend that you guys watch it twice. I watched it a second time because I knew I was going to report on it. And the problem I have with the movie is that as much as I enjoyed it, the minute I'd watched it the first time, I completely forgot everything about it. That's not a good recommendation, is it? And it genuinely isn't. That will be a consistent sort of complaint that people have about this movie, is that it doesn't linger in the mind at all. It's just a generic superhero movie, thriller, hard-hitting urban thriller with superheroics. Only the makers are calling it's a dark superhero movie, as if we haven't had them before. You know, that's the thing about superhero movies now, is they're all dark, aren't they? You know, it goes back to The Crow, which of course this movie has a lot in common with. Its antecedents would be, for this movie, Samaritan, would be Unbreakable meets Universal Soldier by way of The Crow and Finding Forrester, believe it or not. But what is it then? What is this movie you're talking around the houses about? Well, it's a gritty urban thriller, and it's based upon a comic book called Samaritan. But here's the rub, folks. The comic book was based on this movie. How can that be? Time travel? No. The spec for this movie was touted way back in the sort of 2013, 2014. And the makers of the Mythos comics got hold of that and then did their comic book adaptation. But the movie itself never actually transpired until now. And it took Stallone to bring it out. And Stallone, with his own production company, Balboa Productions, how awesome is that? Like, Balboa Productions and MGM brought this out. It's directed by Julius Avery, whose only other film that I've seen is the film Overlord, the World War II demonic, occult, monster-y thriller, which is actually really good, and it stars Kurt Russell's son as well. But so he made this, directed it, and he brings in one of the stars of that movie, whose name, I always forget his name, Pilu Asbæk or Asbæk. He's from Eastern Europe somewhere. He was also Euron Greyjoy in Game of Thrones. And wouldn't you know it, he plays a big, burly, hairy, bad guy in this as well. So the story of this, we're in Granite City. Granite City, which is a great name actually, Granite City. I'll come on to that a bit later on. It's all filmed in Atlanta, Georgia. Very dreary, very rain-sodden. It's bleak as hell. And there's obviously a huge sort of financial crisis going on. Shades of reality here. Everyone's living on the streets. No one can afford the rent. There's strikes everywhere. People are on the dole. It is horrible. You know, everyone is just living hand to mouth, and crime is rife. Now, this is in the aftermath of having a spell of superheroics. A few years prior, you had twin brothers, Samaritan and Nemesis. And these were two lads, one of which was obviously Stallone. These were lads that were growing up, and they were freaks. In high school, no one liked them because they were super strong and also very impervious to beatings, which would make you lead to believe that why would anyone carry on beating up on these guys when these guys can just get up again and kick your ass into oblivion. But this is what happened. And then, despite the fact that, we just want to be left alone, this is all told in flashback, in a cartoon-esque sort of CG flashback at the start of the movie with a voiceover. And all the townsfolk, we had enough of these guys, they're freaks, They bolt the family. So the two kids with their mum and dad bolt them into the house, barricade them in, and burn the place down, killing mum and pop, burned alive. But these two come out unscathed. Now, this twists one of them completely, and he becomes Nemesis. His hatred for the entire city and everybody in it. Because he becomes this dark, evil, villain, super villain. Super strong, super powerful. Only his brother, Samaritan, as he calls himself, and he will fight for the good and the moralistic, upstanding citizenry, while Nemesis wants to cause anarchy and chaos. So the two are at loggerheads, and what happens is the two of them have a final showdown in a big power station, trying to black out the entire city and cause chaos and anarchy. And Nemesis gets killed, is dropped into the Inferno, and after that, Samaritan disappears. Many people believe he's dead as well. The two of them died in this huge Inferno. But many people also believe that Samaritan is still out there, somewhere, just waiting for the right moment. And there's always little sightings of him. There's a journalist, an investigative reporter, who's written books on the Samaritan. He's out there. And there's someone else who's smitten with Samaritan. And that's a little kid called Sam, played by Yavon Walton, plays Sam Cleary. He's about 12 years old, little munchkin. But these two, Nemesis and Samaritan, had their little logos. And he goes out there and spray paints Samaritan's logo everywhere. He draws his own comic books. And he keeps seeing people that he thinks, that's Samaritan. And he'll go and tell this bloody reporter, Think of the reporter that was in the Incredible Hulk TV show that was pursuing Bill Bixby everywhere, Bruce Banner, everywhere he went, And he's got charts and maps with pins in them and all that kind of stuff. And he's written books on it. He's interviewed all the time, and he just, Samaritan is out there. Trust me, I know it. I can feel it in my bones. And this little lad keeps on showing up. But this guy's got to be Samaritan. He's fed up with him, But suddenly, this little lad begins to notice, this old guy in the tenement block opposite them. He lives with his mother, just a single parent. She's a nurse, I think. A genuinely heroic sort of personality, but who can't afford to pay the rent. So every time they come home, the door's been padlocked and bolted. Pay your rent or you'll be evicted and all this. And it's bleak, folks. It's bleak. My young protege here, Mr. Kentucky Fudge, sporting an Expendables beret. It's bleak. He came from an environment very similar to that, but I saw him. I took him under my wing, and I've trained him, I've tutored him, I've mentored him in the ways of the world. And he's been a right bastard ever since. I don't trust him at all. Anyway, so this little lad believes that, it's that guy opposite, the garbage man. His name's Joe Smith or something like that. And he's basically Stallone with a hood, And very big, bulky guy. And but he's always picking up stuff from the trash, bits of metal and things and taking them back to his house. And the kid's kind of like, there's something about this guy. Now, his little mate, or rather big mate, because his mate is about 3 or 4 times the size of our little Sam. And he calls him short arse and squirt and all that kind of stuff. They want to make some money. So they rip out some copper wiring and try and sell that. But they sell it to the local gang. And the local gang is run by Cyrus. And Cyrus is that guy from Overlord. Pilou Asbeek, Azkaban. And he's like, this is the gang run by him. And but there's all little different factions in the gang, and you've got this horrible little goblin-like scrote called, I think, Rezo, who's got multicoloured dreadlocks. He's a white dude, but he's a spindly little fuck. but he's got all these multicoloured dreadlocks, and he's a right little shitbag. But he sees these two guys, and he's trying to sell copper wiring and all that. And he said, look, you want to make some real money? We need you. You can cause a distraction while we go and rob the corner shop. So Sam, the other guy bugs out. Oh no, I'm not to do with that. But Sam was like, look, we need the money. I know, me ma needs the money. We need money, so I'll do it. What have I got to do? So he's just got to act like a fool, like he's passing out, he's having a fit or something, and go into this convenience store, knocking everything over, and the guy will come out to try and help him, and these bastards will run in the back and take all the stuff. All works a treat until they get back to the big warehouse hangout where Cyrus rules supreme, his kingdom, and they open the boxes and it's just packets of crisps, and they're like, what the hell? So this little punk with the fucking multicoloured dreads starts picking on Sam, blaming him, and backhanding him and all that. And Cyrus comes in, Cyrus, the big bad guy, and Cyrus has got one of these. He's got hair. He's got a mini mullet. His hair's shaved around the sides, but it's a little bit going on the back there, and it's kind of sort of dyed blonde. And he's got a big fat chubby face and little piggy eyes. I've just described myself, I don't believe it. But he's got one of these little stupid beards where he's got little braids in it as well. That kind of beard that if someone ever comes at you with a beard like that, you just grab their fucking beard like that and pull. And their face then connects with your knee. Just a little note there. Survival note for living on the streets of Granite City. And but he sort of sees Sam. Sam, you didn't give him up. You didn't lie. This guy's lying. He's a shitbag, but he works for me. But you, so he gives him some money. I like that. And tells him a little life story, how to live on the streets. But Sam's got these comic books, which he's done himself, these drawings of Samaritan. And he's like, you believe in this guy? This is the good guy, yeah? Me, where I grew up, he was no good for us. But Nemesis spoke for us. The down and outs, the forgotten, the people that were just abused by the system. He spoke out for us. So I believe in Nemesis, the bad guy, This all coincides, of course, with Cyrus has got a big plan. He's got an army of these scroats, but the ones we see mostly are absolute fucking complete toe rags. This Reza or whatever his name is, he's a complete and utter ridiculous loon bag, and who's more a liability than anything else. But Cyrus has got this plan. He's going to bring back Nemesis's strategy of plunging the city into chaos and anarchy. So he's going to go to that power station and he's going to plant bombs and stuff, and he's going to cause a huge blackout. But he's also going to break into the police station, which is what they do, and he gets the mask of Nemesis and the weapon that Nemesis carried. What was that weapon? Well, I'll tell you. Thor had a hammer. Nemesis had a sledgehammer. But after the family got burnt to a crisp and all that, and only he and his brother, and they split apart and went their separate ways, but fate brought them back to battle each other all the time, for good and for evil. Nemesis, as we're told, forges this huge sledgehammer, and but he pours his hate into it. How does he do that? I think you see a bead of sweat drop in as he's bashing, fire and steel, and he's bashing all this stuff together, this big sledgehammer, and a bit of sweat goes in there, sort of greenish. Imagine these guys are freaks, so who the hell knows? We're told in that voiceover, it's Sam doing the voiceover as well. He poured all his hatred into that hammer. Right, so he uses that, and it's mighty powerful. So they break in to the police station. This is Cyrus, and they get the mask and they get the hammer. And Cyrus puts the mask on and wields the hammer, and the hammer is power. Boosh! You can knock people for 50 fucking yards, take down walls and doors and all sorts of things And then he goes out to incite the masses. So you get a couple of nights of complete anarchy and mob rule, rioting, looting, and he's doing this with the police are stretched, the Fire brigade are stretched. You know, it's just the city can't cope with all this. We need a hero. So into all this, you know, Sam has obviously got away, you know, from Cyrus's gang, but this Rezo doesn't like him, and they do encounter him on the street, and they give chase to him because that money that Cyrus gave to him, he goes, I want that money back. I want that. Get this little bastard. And but Joe Smith, Stallone, who he exactly? The garbage man. He's on the bus going home, like, and he sees this chase taking place, and this gang get hold of poor Sam, who's a little kid, and beat the shit out of him. They do, you know. It is quite a shocking scene of a little lad who's on the deck, and they're all fucking going in, kicking him, and booting him, and punching him. Next thing, this Joe Smith, this mysterious Joe Smith, suddenly appears and wades in, and these guys get skittled. They're doing backflips and all sorts of things. They're hitting lampposts and plunging into dumpsters and all sorts of stuff, like. And even this Rezo comes up again after being beaten up already. He goes, come on, old man. And tries to put the knife into him, but he just gets the knife and he crushes the knife and sends this guy flying into tomorrow. But takes the knife and drops it. Beat it, kid, you know. And he's like, but Sam's seen all this, and he's like, you're an old man, but you've got strength like this. He's you know, connecting it all together. It's my dog sneezing over there. You must be a Samaritan. Kid, you need to make better friends. And off he goes, turns his back on Sam, but Sam isn't going to let go. Sam's going to pursue this guy. And this is what happens. He will uncover, or he will believe that Joe Smith is the Samaritan. He'll go to his apartment. He'll nick a scrapbook. Joe Smith will go to Sam's apartment. He'll meet the mother. You know, like, and the mother's like, "Look, please don't call the police. You know, he's a good kid, really. You know, well, just give me the scrapbook back, and you know, we'll forget about it." But a bond is formed, and the two of them will become sort of the surrogate father and the son, the mentor and the protege. Sam will be the young Padawan, but he's still not admitting that he's Samaritan. You know, he's not having nothing to do with that. But he'll try and teach Sam how to fight so he can handle himself. But he says, you know, the best way is to walk away. You know, you've got a choice, kid. You've got a choice. You know, you haven't got to take violence. You get all this kind of moralistic bullshit. Sometimes you've got to fight. It's the way it is. It's best you know how to do it as well. So I don't want to say I said I wasn't going to get too in depth on this, but events are going to transpire where, you know, Nemesis wants to take over the city. He's creating more and more chaos. People on the street saying, we need a hero, something needs to happen here, this is going crazy. And like Sam was like pleading with Joe Smith, look, you just do it because you are Samaritan. Listen, kid, I'm not Samaritan, you know, just forget it. You want to leave me alone now. And he walks off into the street, right into a great big shock moment of a speeding car which hits, you know, Joe Smith, skittles him at high speed, ultra violent, goes over the car, hits the deck, all crunched up. Who was driving the car? It was these scumbags that work for Cyrus. And in the back seat, there's that fucking multicoloured dreadlock bastard. He's going, yeah, we got him, we got the old man. You know, because they got beaten up by him. And Cyrus didn't, what, you got beaten up by an old man? Really? You know, but he's also thinking as well, old man, powers like that. And so Sam runs over to Joe Smith, and he's like, you know, my God, you all right? And like, suddenly he wakes up and he begins to crunch his body back into position. Even when Stallone gets up, his left leg is still all crunched up, and he has to unfold the leg and the ankle to start walking. So now, the cat's out the bag. You've got superpowers. But the problem is, whenever he uses superpowers, he overheats. Universal Soldier. So he has to get back home and get ice and water and have a shower and a cold shower. Try and bring his heart rate back down, take down the temperature and all that. So you've got the super strength, and you've got, you know, the fallible side, the vulnerability as well of overuse of superpowers. And we all have to put up with that, don't we? When we've overused them. So Sam now knows, but of course, Cyrus and his cronies are beginning to realise, hang on a second, this guy, he could be something. Another chase will ensue. The gang go after Joe Smith. Gets off the bus, he's going down these back alleys full of down and outs and those bins with flames coming out of them. You know, like in Rocky, where Rocky and all the bums are on the streets warming their hands in the air, the bin fire and all that, like, and he starts singing with them, you know. It's all like that. But the gang come after him and like, okay, right, you know, this ain't gonna go down well for you. And he takes down this gang, batters shite out of them. There's a little girl who's been playing ball, and the scumbags have pushed her over and booted her ball down the alleyway. And she's there, she's watching all this. And this other guy who's part of this sub gang, who's I don't know his name, like, but he's a bigger, more important dude than this little rezo cretin. And he's got like a grenade, because they've been given grenades. They took a shipment. Cyrus's men have took a shipment of, where the hell they got them from? They're in the warehouse, and these crates, you know, are all over this trestle table, like. And Cyrus comes in and goes, "Oh, good, they've arrived." What delivery was that? Who brought them? USPS, you know. And he's got these grenades, so he goes, he chucks it down towards Stallone, Joe Smith, and this little girl. So quickly, he grabs the little girl and he runs out in the street, leaps over the parked car and pulls the parked car over, and the two of them shelter behind it. It's just fragmentation, blows everywhere. But of course, loads of people have got their mobile phones and they're all on the street filming all this. So it's all over the news. And like, Sam's been to this guy, this reporter, and said like, no, there's another guy now I think is a Samaritan. And he's going, what? Oh, who is it this time? How many more people are you going to bring to me? You know, just forget it, kid. This kid's being told to fuck off and forget it by everybody. And including our hero. But this footage is everywhere. And Sam goes back and says, see, I told you, that's the guy. And he's like, oh, there's something in this then. So, now the world seems to know that. And what Samaritan can do, because he's saying, like, because he's telling the kid all about it. He said, look, you know, he's crushing bits of metal and pipes and engine blocks or whatever, like. And the kid's going, wow. And he's going, no. That anyone can just destroy something, but it takes power, focus to rebuild. Because what he does, he rebuilds things, he'll fix things, and that's his, to keep all these years since the big inferno, you know, which consumed a brother. He's kept focused and kept himself to himself by just applying all his powers to rebuilding stuff. Like, that's quite a clever little element. I quite like that. But obviously, this is all going to go titty up, and confrontation is inevitable. So Cyrus, he's got all bombs all around the place. He's going to that power plant, and he's gonna shut that down. He's got the hammer. He's got the mask, and then but they realise what with this guy. This is the old guy who's been beating you fellas up. Well, he must be Samaritan, right? Well, we've got to take him down then. Simple as that. And he's basically christened himself as Nemesis 2, sort of thing. This is Cyrus. All this posturing and bullshit. And he's got like this, a bit like in The Crow. Oh God, I forgot the lead guy's name in that as well. Michael Wincott. With a voice that's pure gravel. And he has that sort of samurai babe. Well, our boy here, Cyrus, has this goth chick called Syl, who's played by Sophia Tatum, I think it is. And he's got hair, and she's a bit of a vicious bitch. She gives Sam a bit of a lovely sort of, you know, homecoming sort of life lesson. And but then she threatens him in the next breath. You know, this is a family now, Sam. You know, you can join this family, and we all look out for each other. We look after each other. But if you ever betray one of us, I'll kill you. You know, and he's like, ugh. And Sam will witness a copper being dragged in and about to be set on fire with a flamethrower, only, you know, by begging for his life and like, look, I'll leave town. I will leave town and never say nothing again about what you guys get up to. I'll leave town. They let him go. Leave town now, and he runs off. So it's one of them obvious moments. Cyrus just shoots him in the back, you know, kills him. So problem solved. But Sam witnesses that. and that's why he does a runner. And the gang catch him again, and he pulverise his hand, and he ends up in hospital. Obviously, Joe Smith finds him, takes him to the hospital, and his mum's looking after him and all that, you know. But he's okay. He's just slightly damaged, you know. But it's still nasty. And so the scene is set. Going to be chaos. Nemesis wants to take over again and rule. He wants to bring Samaritan out, but they now know that's the old guy that's been making life hell for my gang members, right? And Sam knows him. Right, let's go and get Sam. And we've got him. We'll bring Samaritan to us. Samaritan? Connections again. So they storm into they go to the Samaritan's place. They find his apartment and shoot the shit out of it, but he's not there at the time. Like, but then they see opposite. They can see Sam and his mother looking through the windows. Right, go get him. It's with him. We'll get the Samaritan. So they leg it up there, and they will capture them on the roof. So they'll fling the mother around a bit, like, but they'll capture Sam. So cue the big finale, and it is great. That's all I've just said. All the sort of the build up. You get a good 25 minutes of absolute wall-to-wall, ball-busting violence and comic book carnage. Stallone, Joe Smith, drives up in a great big, one of them big dumper truck things. It's all reinforced. And he can be shot, you know, bullets will just fucking ping off him. He's indestructible, remember? Barrels in, right into his place, comes out, and Nemesis has got the sledgehammer, but our boy stands there. They're all pumping lead into him. No effect. He starts swinging them around. He's bashing people into walls and columns. He's pushing people through windows. He's flinging people all around the place. Nemesis comes down. Well, Nemesis 2, Cyrus with the mask on and the sledgehammer, and starts beating the shit out of our boy, out of Stallone. And then Sam's there going, come on, get up, fight, get up. Come on, Rocky. Adrian's there, you know, Rocky, Samaritan. And then, you know, oh yeah, you killed your brother. You know, he stood up for us people. Nemesis was the guy that we needed, not Samaritan. You're just the good guy. The good guy never wins. And here's the twist, which you saw coming right from the word go. I kid you not, right from the word go. You knew what this was going to come to. As the hammer is about to fall, he catches it and gets up, and he's in Cyrus's masked face and just says, like, you keep calling me the good guy. I'm not the good guy. I'm the bad guy. Because he's Nemesis. And Nemesis is the one that actually killed Samaritan. But in his grief afterwards of having killed his twin brother, he's lost the plot. Like, I've done everything wrong. So he becomes like a recluse, takes a normal Joe's job, Joe Smith, the garbage man, and he just wants to be quiet and exist away from all of this. No more strife, no more trouble. But obviously he's had to come back out of retirement. But he's not the good guy. He's the bad guy. I like this. I'm not kidding. You can see it from the word go. From that little flashback CGI prologue, you know where this is going to go. But it doesn't disappoint in the fact that it does that. You just go, saw that coming. Oh, I knew that, yeah. But everyone goes, oh God, it's telegraphed, it's announced, you know, literally from the start of the movie. So what? It's a fucking comic book movie. That's what it is. Superheroes. There's no fucking real great depth. It's not Shakespearean twists, the Machiavellian sort of subterfuge going on. It's fucking that obvious. So, but then, you know, the big battle ensues. He fucking kills everybody, and he's laying waste to the entire building. And he'll get that hammer back, and he's taking stuff down. Loads of fighting. People are getting like back-breaking crunches. He's sliding with their snapped spines. He's sliding them down steel railings on steel staircases. He's smashing down the pillars all around to bring down roofs on all the people's heads. You've got those big horrible lifts where it's like two great big steel, horrible rusted steel doors that go whoosh like that. You pull like a chain and you go whoosh, pull it again and they open. It's just one of them horrible things. And about 30 henchmen pile in there, all with heavy weaponry. And they're trying to shut the door. But Nemesis Stallone, now as we know as Nemesis, just gets there, fucking prizes it open and walks in and shuts the door behind him. And you just hear gunfire and you see impacts in the steel of these doors. Boom, 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 boom. It just takes everybody out. And this will culminate in a big fiery crescendo, because obviously Cyrus, Nemesis Mark II, he can't really call himself that now, can he? Let's be honest. Now the real boys showed up. He puts the call in, like, blow the city, turn the city dark, something like that. So they end up in the same place as power plants. And he's got Sam with him again, and he's got this other guy. The Rezo's dead now, and Sill's dead. She's been kicked back and she's broke her spine over the table. And so you get Cyrus going, Sill! 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 All right. Didn't know you cared that much about it, to be honest. But this other guy who's chained up Sam, like, he's the one who threw the grenade at Joe Smith earlier on. And he plunged over the car and saved the girl and got himself all over TV and all that. Like, so this guy's got a grenade. He's like, hey, he can't take this. And he just comes up. I think he headbutts him. He throws him into a wall. And he grabs the grenade. And with the sledgehammer, he literally embeds the grenade into the guy's chest. And he's like, like that. And as he walks out, he shuts this shattered door. The windows all come out. He shuts the door, walks out. Have a blast. He's turned into strawberry jam. And then you get the big fight upstairs in the big dud at the top of the warehouse. Flames are everywhere. And you know, bookending like what happened with the twin brothers. One is hanging from the rafters. Everything's ablaze, and he's hanging there, you know, and there's an inferno down below them. And that's mimicked. Poor Stallone is hanging there, and this bastard, you know, he's coming up, he's going to like kick him into fucking touch and all that. But Sam's managed to get loose, and he comes up like a crowbar or something, hits him in the back, giving just enough time for our hero to get up there and take this guy down. And what he does, he throws him against this column, and he gets that big sledgehammer, and he bends it round him like that. So he's like, ugh. It's a big sledgehammer straitjacket, and he picks him up over his head. Stallone doing this, and like fucking throws him in. And he said to him, like, it was never, you know, the whole thing wasn't to make the city dark. It was a trap to bring Samaritan to him, burn him. That's what he was going to do. That's the whole point of it. So you've got everything you try to forge here, you know, with the Nemesis sledgehammer, Nemesis mask, and all that shit, like, and the same location and the whole idea of making the city dark and anarchy. That wasn't my plan. It was just a trap to bring Samaritan in and kill him. So Cyrus is killed. The whole place is on fire, and suddenly, you know, because he's overheated, he's used so much heroics. Think Logan. Think Wolverine at the end of Logan, when he's used that drug to keep him going, like, because he's old as well, like, and it's like he's got nothing left. You know, he's dying. There's nothing left anymore. Well, that's what he's like. So he's like, water. I need water. So Sam manages to do one of those uncanny things. You've got that water pipe with that big old sort of dial on it, that big tap, and he manages to smack that off and then smack it down again, and the water comes shooting out and hit and perfectly aimed directly at the stricken form of Nemesis. Hissing everywhere, and calms him down, cools him down when he wakes up. But shit, we're in the middle of a fucking inferno. Well, I'll survive this, but you, kid. Picks him up, trust me. Does a fucking run straight out through the window and right over the gap between two buildings, and there's fire brigades, everyone's out there, and conveniently Sam's mother is there as well, and sees all this and realises he saved him. He is Samaritan. My son's all right. Blah blah blah. All this kind of shit. And they wake up in the other building, and then Sam is interviewed on the way out. You know, there's all rescue services there, and this TV interviewer goes, "So, have you seen the Samaritan?" "I have, yeah. It's real. He really is Samaritan, because it's not. It's Nemesis." And but he's also said, you know, why he went into like sort of hiding. Yeah, I was the bad guy, but I was wrong. You know, and I've spent the rest of my life thinking about that. You've got a choice. You've got a choice to make between good or evil. You know, that's in all of us. You know, and I've done the right thing ever since. And like, did he say to Sam, is Samaritan back then? And he's there. He's a gloating little bastard at this stage. He's like, yeah, he's back. And in the crowd, with his hood up, there's Joe Smith, Nemesis. But now he is Samaritan, isn't he? And now he knows his path in life. He's going to be a good guy. And that's it. Now, I'm not going to go in depth. Did I not say that earlier on? I'm not going to go in depth on this. I've just given you the entire bloody movie. I really enjoyed this whilst it was on, as I say. The action is great, but it's a PG-13. And this is pushing the boundaries of a PG-13. It really is. This is a very violent movie. A lot of swearing in it as well, but it's very violent. And the violence towards Sam, who's a 12-year-old kid, he's beaten. He gets his hand or his arm, they drop heavy weight on it. And it's very mean-spirited. The whole place, they filmed in Atlanta, Georgia, but this Granite City is such a horrible cesspit of a place. It's so irredeemably nasty, dark and evil and just full of crime and filth. It's a horrible, horrible environment. It's filmed brilliantly by a guy called David Ungaro. And it does look great, despite the dreary, dismal sort of qualities of the setting and the environment. But it is well filmed. Music by Jed Kersell and Kevin Kiner. Kevin Kiner did a lot of TV superhero animated shows. Jed Kersell's done a lot of stuff and the music's okay. It's not memorable. Obviously for Cyrus, you get lots of sort of grungy, modernistic, generic bad guy sort of crap. Stallone is great. I've seen people saying now he's just like a supporting character. He's not. He is the main star. But it's just the story's told primarily from the point of view of Sam. And this kid, well, I don't know. I like him. I think he does the job well. But fuck me, he's a cocky little shit, this kid. And I think the reason why I say that, he's played by Yavon Walton. Now, the reason why I say that is he's a dead ringer for a lad from my neck of the woods. An actor, a showman. Ray Quinn, his name is. Ray Quinn. He was, as a child star, the same age as Sam in Samaritan. He was in the Liverpool soap opera Brookside. And he was a weird little scrote in that. But then years of obscurity. And then he came back for Strictly Come Dancing. And he was amazing. But didn't he know it? And he won it. He was rippling with it changed drastically. Rippling with muscle. And his little cherubic face had slimmed down. And but God, he kept winning week after week after week. And he was just a bloody annoyance. So arrogant, so cocky, so sure of himself. Everyone, there's a backlash against him. But then he went on tour with the dance, Strictly Come Dancing, or was it Dancing on Ice? It was one of the two anyway. I forget now. They all blurred into one. And but he then went on to stage shows, and he's forever being interviewed, and he was so cocky. Well, this lad in Samaritan looks just like him, and he's just as cocky and as arrogant. But he's a good actor. The thing is, he's a good actor. There is talent there, but I can see the same developments in him. That sounds terrible. I can be very judgmental and damning there, but that's the way I feel. So that's kind of, I thought he was a good actor and a good little character. But again, it's a generic character. The little lad that looks up to this guy who doesn't want to know, I've retired from all that, I don't do it anymore. And they bring him out the shell, like Finding Forrester, that sort of thing. And so many other movies on stories of that ilk. So there's nothing new here, nothing whatsoever. The PG-13 rating, it's pushed, and maybe they should have gone the whole hog and made it R-rated, because it is uber violent, and you could expect that the body's flipping all over the place. People are getting pushed through walls and girders and hit by that bone crunching. The attack by the car. Oh my God, it's horrible. The thing is, it's shown in the trailer, so there's no shock to it, because you know it's coming. But even so, it's just oh God, and the way it goes over the top of it as well, and they're all laughing. So what I mean? It's very, very mean-spirited, very dark-hearted, this movie. Then you get on to, oh God, what is it? Pilo, asshole, whatever his name is, as Cyrus. Now there's your problem, folks, because you don't get any sort of depth or backstory to him. Why would you follow someone like Nemesis? Why would you do that? You know, you've got your family, your goons, but you're trying to make the city think you're working for them, for all the downtrodden, when you're really not at all, are you? But he wears the same, or rather a knockoff jacket of Bane from The Dark Knight Rises, which I've got here. Here it is. There is Bane's jacket. The big sheepskin jacket from The Dark Knight Rises. He wears a cheap, horrible brown PVC version. Oh, it's awful. It really is. But he stands there. He walks around with that jacket on, pure Baning it. And he stands there on the roof of the car, and he's giving like the Blackgate speech that Bane gives, Tom Hardy gives as Bane. He's going, "To you, the people, I give back your city. Take back your city. Do it now." You know, and all this. He's doing that entire bloody speech, posturing just as Tom Hardy did as Bane. And you're like, really? You really think you're going to get away with that? And the thing I've seen in all the reviews I've read about it and people on forums, it's only been mentioned a couple of times, and kind of like a throwaway remark. Always reminded me of Bane. Reminded you of Bane? It's pure Bane. And when he puts the mask on as well, Nemesis's mask, you know, it's just, oh, what? It's too shockingly overtly obvious, and I don't like that. You could have made him a different character. Why did you have to go and do that? Everything was proceeding nicely. You know who the bad guys are. Okay, it's just generic stuff. There's nothing too deep in this. Not too many emotions or psychology being explored. Although the film does seem to want to have its cake and eat it. With like Nemesis, his sermonizing over like, you know, I killed my brother, you know, but I was wrong. I did everything wrong. And all this heart, evil, good and evil lives in every man's heart. You've got to make the right choice. It's just, you know, the normal tropes of, you'd see it in any comic book dialogue bubble, any panel, and it's just writ large in the movie. But, you know, he could have, it's not a short movie, it's like an hour and 40 minutes, but he could actually have gone a bit more in depth. Some of the editing's a bit on the shaky side as well, because suddenly, you know, Sam's being taken under the wing of Cyrus, and next thing he's being pursued by Cyrus and everybody. There's no sort of, what happened there? It's too quick, too jolting. The CG, I'm getting more and more tolerant of crap CG these days. I am, I must be, because it's not very good in this. And the de-aging of Stallone, when you finally see what really happened during that big flashback sequence in the big inferno, and his brother falls into the inferno, which is obviously Samaritan, not Nemesis as we first thought. You know, he takes the mask off, and it's a younger Stallone. Not that effective, it really isn't. But, you know, it is what it is, you know. And I say I've got a bit more tolerance now for naff CG. It doesn't really take me out of it anymore. I'll make a note of it, but, you know, it's got to be catastrophic before I'm going to really go, oh, that's fucking awful. That's ruined the film for me. So, overall, Samaritan, yeah, I watched it a second time because I'd forgotten everything. And I then just watched it. And that's the thing about this movie. If they want to make a franchise out of it, and I do believe they're already trying to talk up a sequel to it, it's been popular. It's been successful. However you gauge, you know, movies that are streaming, I don't know. Look at Prey on Hulu, Prey on Disney Plus. Prey was huge. I played a small role in making it as huge as I did. I hope. And this has been very successful. However they gauge it. So now, of course, obviously they want to think, oh, let's do another one. Let's make a franchise out of it. Does Stallone really need another franchise character? You know, and he's done comic book stuff before. He did Judge Dredd. I like Judge Dredd. I do. Danny Cannon's interpretation, I actually quite like it a lot. It isn't Judge Dredd. It's Stallone in a futuristic cop movie, but it's not Judge Dredd. Cheers, y'all. But this, even the costume, that when you see the flashbacks to what the twins were wearing, it's a bit crap. It's a bit sort of like, it's just from a garage, bits of metal made into armour and suits. It looks like, what was that really, really shit superhero movie called Steel? Do you remember that with oh God, was he an American football player or a basketball player? I can't remember his name, but it's absolutely bloody awful. And they're lumbering around in this stuff, like, it just looks terrible. But I tell you what I do like, and I like it a lot, is that bloody sledgehammer. Wow. I'm not sure about he poured his hatred into it. How's that going to give it? I don't understand that. The mythology behind it all, it's not explained. You don't need to explain it. It just is, because that's what comic books are like. That's what superhero movies are like. How does a radioactive spider give Peter Parker the powers of a spider? Well, because it just can. Okay. How come coming from the planet Krypton, where you lived, when you encounter some kryptonite from your home planet, it's going to weaken you and it's going to destroy you? Huh? What? Why? But that just is. So he pours hatred into it, but it's got a strap on it. So he swings it over his back, and it's hanging over his back with this strap. And I don't know. I really thought that looks really good. And I thought there's going to be replicas of that, depending on just how successful this movie is going to be. But there'll be replicas, and there'll be people on them forged in fire, all them documentaries and shows where they're making all the movie weaponry and all that, and they're forging it for real. You'll have one. You'll have one of those. I'm not sure it's got a name, if it's just the hammer. I don't know. Or Sister Sledge. I don't know what it's called. But it's bloody good. I do like it. You get a shot of Stallone running through walls as well, doing that big smash through the walls thing, which I like that. And Stallone, oh my God, he is amazing. And even with that face of his, and when the hood comes down, he looks good. He's grizzled as hell. He's got a grey beard, and his hair, it's a much lighter grey in this. It's more sort of, I don't know, more peppery, sort of, no, salt. It's more salt and pepper sort of thing. I know what I'm trying to say. Not like his real grey hair now. It's kind of fluffier as well. He looked good with the beard as well. But he's amazing. The stunts that he's doing, and he's doing a lot of the work. He's running, he's fighting, he's doing the choreography. You know, Schwarzenegger can't do that kind of thing now. He just can't. But Stallone is still nailing it when it comes down to the action chops. He's got him. And I love it. I love him for it. He's not giving up at all. I'm still not sure what the hell's happening with Expendables 4. Is it going ahead? Are they doing it? And people, stop putting those fake fucking Expendables 4 teasers on. Is this dickhead falls for it every time? Because I thought Samaritan just crept up out of nowhere. Oh, this could really be Expendables 4. Oh, fake shit. I hate that. Bastards. But yeah, and I'd like to see Expendables 4. I just want to see Stallone in more movies. But you know, is this going to shape a franchise? Is it going to carve a new character for Sly? I don't know. Maybe. He produced it. Balboa Productions. They might really be wanting to take this forward. Now that we've had the origin story. Only we and Sam know that he's really Nemesis. But as far as Granite City's concerned, Samaritan's back. So, Granite City, I meant to say about that. I love that name. They don't know why I love it. It's not mentioned in the movie at all. Granite has a lot of powers. Granite has a lot of geological and biological powers. And, you know, things happen in granite boulders, granite parks, things tend to happen. Lots of unusual things happen. So I genuinely thought when I thought, Granite City, that's a bit of a strange name, man, isn't it? I wonder if they're going to use that in some kind of way, that's how they got their powers. Because it's not explained how the twins got their powers. Were they some kind of genetic experiment? What? Was it like Firestarter, where the mum and dad were having drugs, you know, for some government testing, and the offspring became, superheroes. Not explained. So you don't know. So I was thinking it's something to do with granite, because granite does have these sort of elemental powers. It's scientifically known. I'm not just making that shit up. Like, what have you been watching now, Kilt-Man? Some other esoteric bullshit. No. Granite does have these attributes which can be very unusual. It's an unusual commodity. But anyway, so I genuinely thought that might come into it. It didn't. But if they make a sequel to this, and the makers are watching this, you can put that in there now, can't you? So, do I recommend Samaritan? Yeah, I do. It's a blast for an hour and 40 minutes. You will hate the bad guys, especially that fucking guy with the dreadlocks. I mean, he's a good actor. He's an ugly little fucker, but he's a good actor because you really hate him, and he genuinely plays a little sleazy shitball of a character, like very similar to the ones in The Crow, as it turns out. There's a lot of similarities to the Crow, the dismal, rain-sodden environment, these horrible little mini henchmen who've all got their own agendas and all that, like, and the whole dark-hearted, really mean-spirited sort of attitude that everyone seems to have. Oh yeah, and a crime-ridden city. It's very, very similar. It's not Gotham. I never once thought of Gotham. I never once thought of Batman. Well, I thought of Bane, obviously, but Batman didn't come into it, or Spider-Man, or anything else like that. But Samaritan and Nemesis are just two generic heroes. One a villain, with their powers of indestructibility. Universal Soldier comes in, they've got to cool themselves down. And this whole mentor sort of thing comes from so many other movies. But yeah, I would recommend it. Definitely. You've seen it all before, and you'll probably see it all again as well with Samaritan 2. Cheers, y'all. So, Stallone is back with a big sledgehammer. But I like the look with the hood up as well. That's generic these days. And didn't Bruce Willis do that with the hood up in Unbreakable as well? So I mean, you've seen all that before, but it still looked good. You don't see his torso. You don't see him like son top, but he's still he's huge. He is definitely huge. I know he's got loads of padding on him and all that, but when you see him, like in real life, that is. I saw him just the other day. We were having a bevy in the cask. He's broad and he's thick. He's totally thick. He's like some kind of ogre. But even though he's a short ass, it's like a wall coming towards you, And he's got that sort of presence in this movie as well. So anyway, folks, said enough. There's not much to say about it really. Give it a shot. See what you think. And I don't think you're going to be disappointed. It's just, at worst, you're just going to go, well, it was alright. That killed a bit of time. Stallone can still do it. But, what's for tea? It's that kind of movie. But, if you're into superhero movies, forget them saying, oh, this is a dark superhero movie. It's not breaking any new ground whatsoever. Emotionally, thematically, narratively, it's not breaking any new ground at all. So, but it's just an enjoyable bit of hokum and fun. Folks, I have been the Shabby Kilt-Man. Please, in the meantime, in this ever dark, super heroic in-between time, keep it kilted, keep it Celtic. And I'm going to see you all. Foosh! Foosh! Namaste. Nemesis. It hurts! Stallone still kicks ass.